Hi everyone, it's Miss Potts, and we have a really exciting lesson ahead of us. So let's go ahead and take a look at our focus. The focus for today's lesson is to identify prime and composite numbers and to find the greatest common factor. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer how do you find the greatest common factor, or the GCF, of two numbers. Before we go any further, we need to establish some mathematical vocabulary, and we're going to start with the word divisible. The word divisible means when a number is divisible by a second number and they have a remainder of 0. So I would like all of you to take a moment and pause this video to write down this divisibility chart. So if a number is divisible by 2, then the last digit or the ones digit is either a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. It ends with an even number. If any number ends with an even number, it's automatically divisible by 2. If the sum of all digits added up, so we're adding up all the numbers, and it can be divided by 3 to be a whole number with a remainder of 0, then it's divisible by 3. And so on and so forth. So go ahead and take a moment to write down this chart, and then we're going to move on to talking about prime and composite numbers. First, let's identify what a prime number is. I'm sure that a lot of you have heard it before, but let's review. A prime number is a whole number greater than 1 with exactly 2 factors. And the word factor is going to come into play later on in this lesson. So for example, 41 is a prime number because the only factors that it has is 1 in itself. It's only divisible by 43 and 1. It only has those 2 factors, so it's a prime number. So the opposite of a prime number would be a composite number. It's a whole number greater than 1 with more than 2 factors. 54 is a composite number because we automatically know that since this number ends with an even number, that it's divisible by 2. It has more than 2 factors. Obviously, 1 and 54 are factors, but 2 is also a factor as well. Next, we're going to talk about GCF, which is the greatest common factor of 2 or more numbers. And that is the biggest number that is a factor of all numbers. Well, geez, what does that even mean? Let's put some meaning into it and take a look at an example of what we're talking about. So here we're asked to find the greatest common factor of 2 values, 42 and 36. The first thing that needs to happen is that we need to list out all the factors of those numbers. So from 1 until that factor, we need to figure out what numbers are divisible that go into each value. So in 42, these are all of the factors that go into 42. And for 36, these are all the factors that are divisible by 36. Once we have them all listed out, we're able to identify that both numbers have 1, 2, 3, and the values of 6 in common. So the greatest common factor, the largest number that they have in common, is 6. So let's go ahead and practice this skill. Here we are asked to find the greatest common factor of 54 and 36. So the first thing that we have to do is list out all the factors of 54. 54 is divisible by 1, and that equals 54. 54 is an even number, and it's divisible by 2. And when we divide 54 by 2, that equals 27. When we add up these values, 5 plus 4, that equals 9, and 9 is divisible by 3. And if we divide 54 by 3, that will equal 18. That's our other factor. And then one more factor of 54 is 6, and when we divide 54 by 6, that equals 9. So these are all of the factors, 1 through 54. Now we're left to list out all the factors of 63. Obviously, 63 divided by 1 is itself 63. 63 is divided by 3. Whoops. Divided by 3 because 6 plus 3 equals 9 as well. So we're going to divide 63 by 3 to equal 21. And it's also divisible by 7. and 63 divided by 7 equals 9. So let's go ahead now and circle all the factors that these numbers have in common. They have the value of 1 in common, 3, and 9. Being that 9 is the largest value that's in common, the largest factor that's in common with both of these numbers, the GCF, the greatest common factor, would equal 9. Let's do another example finding the greatest common factor of 18 and 42. So obviously the first step is to list out the factors of 18. We have 1 and 18. 18 is an even number, so I'm going to divide that by 2 to equal 9. And if we add up 1 and 8, that is equal to 9, and 9 is divisible by 3. 18 divided by 3 is 6. And those are all the factors of 18. Now we're left to list out the factors of 42. 42 divided by 1 is 42. 42 is an even number, so we're going to divide that by 2, and that equals 21. If we add up these values, 4 plus 2 equals 6. 6 is divisible by 3. 42 divided by 3 is equal to 14. And this number is also divisible by 6. 6 divided by 42 is 7. Now we listed out all of our factors, so let's go ahead and circle the ones that they have in common. 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 6 and 6. So the greatest common factor of these two values is 6. Now we've come to the point in our lesson where it's time to review what we've learned and to see if you can answer these questions. How do you find the greatest common factor, or the GCF, of two numbers? If you have any questions regarding this lesson, please don't hesitate to let me know. And don't forget to answer the questions to check for understanding below and to complete your assignment on greatest common factor. Bye guys!